All right, so how do you handle a bad review, a negative review, whether it's a colleague, a peer, a supervisor, an annual job review, or an online review? Well, recently I had this happen to me and I wanted to share this experience because I think it has so many great leadership lessons for life. So, many of you know I created the Thrive Journal, right? And that's one of the books that I have published on Amazon. And in our incredible DBA program, our #1 Forbes ranked DBA program, yes, I'm going to always say that. I'm so proud of our program. Our current students in Management 765, that's my class, are either publishing a leadership mini book on Amazon or they're creating a Walsh X leadership signature talk, kind of like the TEDx talks. And as we were talking about publishing their mini book, I was showing them the different steps I used with Thrive, and I went on the Amazon site and I noticed I had a 1-star review. Not only did I have a 1-star review, but the person actually wrote a nice little note there that explained the 1-star review. And I have to be honest, at first it was like a gut punch because I didn't do a lot of promotion for the Thrive Journal. This was more a publication of a research study that I had done where we had 17 people use the Thrive framework over 3 weeks, and we measured statistical significance with an instrument around locus of control. I share all that because when I share with you the review and kind of what the feedback was, it'll just be interesting. But anyway, so I didn't do a big promotion of saying, hey, can you read this? Can you write a review if you like it? Can you do all these things? I just really wanted to get the research and the journal out there. That is on me. I just want to mention, I'm not justifying why I didn't. That's on me. So when I did get a bad review, it totally tanked the reviews and it was really hard to see. But I read what it said. And you know, it took me about a day and then I noticed I shifted. I had to really manage my mind. The review said it's very simplistic, it doesn't lack substance, and it looks like a coloring book or a kid's coloring book, okay? So this is the version that the person probably bought. This was the original version. And, you know, in the beginning, there is some science, there's some neuroscience that explains the Thrive framework, but then here's probably what they were talking about, because you can kind of see these little flecks at the top. Why are they there? Well, when I published the Thrive Journal, I didn't use an Amazon KDP preloaded format, which they have available now. In fact, we found that out when my students are loading their mini books into a template. And I didn't pay to get this typesetted. I did for my other books, Locus and Chief Energy Officer. So I just wanted to get this up there, and you know, the entrepreneur in me is like, just get a draft out there, you can always adjust. Well, that's great, and I did. And I sold copies, I gave copies away, all the proceeds go to Walsh College, I always say that, and I did get this out there. But I also realized, is it my very best creation as far as how it looks? No. And the reviewer did have a point. So I actually use that as an opportunity to take the content of the Thrive Journal and to republish the content, which you can do in Amazon KDP, using an established framework and format that they had. So it looks a lot more professional in this framework. It looks a lot more like a book. And I actually like the text. It's a lot darker. It wasn't that weird gray coloring. And I also added a glossy cover. So I had the matte cover before and I made it glossy, and I think I kind of like this, right? Glossy, glossy. So anyway, I'm sharing this because for one day, I really stewed about this review. I was in my head. Who is this person? How dare they leave me this review? It's kind of anonymous, even though they had initials. I know everybody's gonna go to the review now and look, but I'm so grateful that they did, because they helped me make a shift in my mind. They helped me deal with what does it feel like to get a bad review, and to look for, is there any gift within that review? Is there any kernel of truth that I can use to change and grow and improve? And there was. And so even though I don't necessarily agree that I think it looks like a kid's coloring book, but maybe it does, I don't know. And I don't think that it lacks substance because it was based on a study and a research project I did. I do believe that it didn't look as professional as it could, which could have lent itself to someone saying, you know what, this doesn't really look like a professional published book. So I changed it, I upgraded it, right? How many times in life do we get a review? Maybe it's anonymous online, because with the online platforms now, people can go on and say whatever they want. Or how many times do we get feedback from people or colleagues or through the grapevine, and it's so easy for us to dismiss it, or to maybe say negative things about the person giving it. I don't even know this person. They're probably a wonderful person, right? And I noticed that when I did that, I was in the wrong type of energy. I was in the justification energy, the blame energy, the external locus energy, how ironic. And when I shifted my mind to say, what could I actually learn from this? And is there a kernel? Is there a nugget in there that's actual truth? Sometimes there's not, I know that. Some of you might be listening and saying, well, Susie, no, that doesn't work for all negative or anonymous reviews. Sometimes they're just really mean-spirited and they don't have any truth to them. That may be. In this case, there was, and I was able to learn. And I shared that example with my students, who are very nice and generous because they were so supportive. But I also shared it because I think the more cognitively flexible and adaptable we can become when we get negative feedback, the greater we can learn from it. We become more resilient so it doesn't emotionally impact us. Like if I had gotten this review a couple years ago, I probably would have been a lot more upset than I was now because I've worked through some of that, right? And even now, it took me about a day. And then once I shifted, I was so excited because I'm like, this is an even better version. I love the cover, I love the layout, I love the framework. Now it can help even more people and it can look even more professional out in the world. So as you go into your week, think about if you have received feedback recently that's been less than stellar, or if you know that that will happen, or as it happens to you this week, keep in mind that is there a nugget? Is there a tiny kernel of truth that you can take so that you can improve your life and your leadership?